Hey there, true crime friends. I don't know where my earphones are, so I hope you can hear this video. I probably should have done a sound test, but I'm about to take my kid back to college, and I have a million things to get done today. So listen, we need to talk about Mr. Justin Barber. But before we do, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, just like always, and know that I have memberships with lots of special prizes and stuff and games coming soon, and benefits. Okay, so look, Justin and April Barber. Here's the thing. Normally I do lunchtime true crime about women who kill. I do a lot of snapped, but sometimes I like to change it up. And this one, not to give the story away because it is a true crime. You know somebody got murdered. So look, this is what happened. Justin and April, very cute couple, very Ken and Barbie, met in college. They're going to live happily ever after. But April, poor dear, she came from a tragic life. Her mother died of cancer. Her father got very depressed after the mother died. And he just sort of became a drunk and gave up on life. So she's raising her younger siblings. Her siblings were age 1 and age 9. She was like a teenager. So it was a tough situation. But she's like, look, I'm about to get my life together. She got her whole life together, finished high school, went on to college, and was taking care of her siblings, and she met Justin. And Justin is like, you're cute, I'm cute, we're gonna be the perfect family, we're gonna have these kids, I'm gonna help you raise these kids, it's all gonna be great. And she's like, this is fantastic. So they went ahead and they got married, had a nice destination wedding, everything was great, and the kids moved in with them. And it was like, we could not have a more perfect life, right? And then he gets a job in Georgia, and she's like, let's move to Georgia. So they, they moved to Georgia, and they're having a good time. And then he was like, I'm pretty young. And these kids, this whole white thing, it's a lot. But okay, we're going to power through. So then he gets a better job offer in Florida. And she's like, wait, Florida is 3 hours away. And you mostly get on my nerves. So, go ahead and take that job in Florida, and me and you'll get together on the weekends. And he's like, that sounds like a great idea. Meanwhile, her younger siblings were like, we want to go back to Oklahoma where we're from because we are totally not digging this Georgia life. We're not super into the idea of going to Florida. And Justin was like, no, stay here. And the kids were like, nah, because they was teenagers and they were pain in the neck. So they went back to Oklahoma to live with family. Fine. So Justin and April are like, okay, we're having a long distance marriage, but everything is going fine. And April was like, he was working my nerves, child. Now, this is what she's saying to her girlfriends. He's working my nerves, child. So he moved to Florida just in time. Although I do suspect he has him a little side dish down there in Florida. I don't have all the details, but I have suspicions. But oh, it's nice having him out of this house. Oh, I was sick of him. I think we got married too young. Even though he's cute and I'm cute and we're cute together, I've really had enough of this. But they were like, okay, we're going to stick it out. Come their 3rd anniversary, Justin was like, tell you what, come down here to Florida. We'll have dinner at our favorite restaurant. It's just going to be me and you, and we'll rekindle and it'll be wonderful. And April was like, that sounds delightful. So they have dinner at a nice place, and then they decide to go for a walk on the beach. So they drive down to this little spot where they this kind of out of the way and dark and quiet. And I was like, ooh, I hope they're not going to do what I think they're going to do, because you get sand in certain places and it is a bad situation. Plus, y'all got a house, a hotel room. You don't need to go do nothing on the beach. But they go on down to the beach, and Justin walks her to this dark, secluded location. Girl, if your husband is suspicious, right? You love him and all of that is great. But you're like, he wants to take me on a dark beach on a walk, and I don't really like him that much anyway. It's bad business, child. Don't go. But she ain't know. She didn't have me here advising her life. So she went on this walk. And then, according to Justin, a boogeyman, possibly an all-purpose minority, came on up out of the woods or whatever, out of the beach, out of the dunes, rose up out of the water like a sea monster, child. I don't know. He's like, this man attacked us, and then I was knocked unconscious. And he has this very dramatic story. And he woke up and he couldn't find April. And he was like, oh my goodness, where is she? Oh, there she is. I found her many feet away, face down at the edge of the water. And so I scooped her up and I ran as far as I could. And then I realized my body is weak. I can't take her up these stairs. So I dumped her in the sand like a dead carp. And then he walked up some little footbridge and he was like, I'm stumbling around trying to wave down cars. If you are driving down a beach in a secluded area, and there's some idiot over here waving their arms, I would be like, oh no, friend, I'm gonna call 911 for you while my windows are still up. I'm gonna 911. You should go get that guy that's back there at mile marker 14, because you know I'm not stopping. He looks suspicious as anything. But he said nobody stopped. He said 3 cars passed him, which I don't blame them for not stopping. I would not have stopped either. I'm not that good a Samaritan. So he's like, then I was like, oh wait, my car is right over there. So he goes and he gets in his car and he drives like 10 miles to civilization, where he goes into an intersection and then like flags down to people. Conveniently, he had forgot his phone at home on this night. Sure you did, dude. So he's like, I flagged somebody down. They called 911. I told them my very sad tale. I go to the hospital and they take me right into surgery, because turns out I'm shot 4 times. Ooh, 4 times. You say that is tragic. He could have died. As soon as he's out of surgery, he's like, what about April, my beloved spouse? And they're like, sorry, we're sorry to tell you, she dead. And so he was like, oh. Even the pictures of him in the hospital crying, it looked like a fake cry. Now, that's before he was a suspect. As soon as I saw that picture, he was like so dramatic. I was like, sir, you doing too much. So he was like, I can't believe this. Can we cremate her immediately and send her back to Oklahoma? Also, there's $2 million life insurance policy. So they take her back to Oklahoma to bury her, and he goes to the funeral, and he's oh so sad. And he's like, I'm gonna go back to Florida because I am going to help and solve this murder. And the police were like, great, come down here to the beach with us and explain to us what happened. He was like, okay, we was walking over there. You see where it's dark and nobody is around, and there's no good reason for us to be down here, and we didn't bring a blanket to like recline on the sand or anything. That's where we were. And they were like, right. So what'd the dude say to you? It's like, the dude tried to rob us. And they're like, okay, we noticed that when we picked her body up off the sand, and when we got to you, you still had your wallet, she still had a diamond ring. It was a failed robbery. And he was like, it was a failed robbery. And they were like, okay, show us the place where you went to go get help. And he was like, so I ran up these stairs. He did a full reenactment where he was very sad. And the police officer's like, he was making crying noises and cry faces, but there was no actual tears. He was auditioning to be a real housewife, apparently. So they were like, okay, show us, take us on the drive with you. So as they go on the drive, they're like, okay, it's so interesting. You know what's interesting? Right there is a 24-hour McDonald's that you could have stopped at. Okay. There's a Walgreens, also open 24 hours. And there's a big giant gas station with many, many lights that was bright and lit and 24 hours open. You drove past all 3 of those to get help, but you had to go stop in the middle of an intersection. Very dramatic. That's a nice dramatic touch, sir. Okay. And he's like, I think you suspect me. They were like, sir, no, we are just investigating. And he was like, okay, but they really didn't have that many clues. So he was like, I'm so upset. I'm going to have to move to Seattle on the other side of the country and find myself another nice, unsuspecting wife. I mean, I'm going to have to get on with the rest of my life. So the cops are like, okay. So for 2 years, he went on, he got a new girlfriend. He's getting on with the rest of his life. Who is dating this man? This is what I need to, ladies. If they have a dead wife, I'm going to need you to have them come to you with a letter from the police indicating that they are not a person of interest. Now, I know that is not standard practice, because we learned in that chef murder case that the police not going to give you an excuse letter, but you're going to have a police reference if you want to date. You got a dead wife? Don't let it be more than one dead wife. You got more than one dead wife, you can't find out my name. But you got a couple of dead spouses and you just conveniently moved here to the other side of the country, and you don't want to help with them. Nope. No, thank you. So he's on the other side of the country. He has a new girlfriend, and the cops were like, technology has come a long way. We still have his computer. We still have his phone. Let's go in here and see what we can find. Now listen, every time you log on to Google, it should say, welcome to Google. Anything you Google can be used against you in a court of law. Because you know why? Anything that you Google can and will be used against you in a court of law. If nothing else, in a court of public opinion. Because I will be here like, well, what exactly did you Google and when did you Google it? And why? So they get all his Google history and everything. In fact, this case happened so long ago, that's when there used to be a whole bunch of search engines instead of just Google. Children, gather round. Prior to Google, there were many search engines, and you got to choose which one. I remember there was one called iwin.com, and every time you did a search, it was just called a search back then. It wasn't called a Google. Every time you did a search, it entered you to win a prize, and so a cash prize, not just like, a hat or a sticker or a t-shirt, a cash prize. So it would tell you how many entries into the lottery you had. Oh, child, I used to be on iWin all the time. So you could iWin, you could Bing, you could Mother. You remember Mama.com? I used to search on Mama.com. It was the mother of all search engines. I loved Mama.com. And then Sex and the City and them started talking about Google and Googling. And I was like, what is Google? We all just search. But now everybody Googles, and Google is the word for search. So anyway, he was giving it a Goog back in the day, and it turns out some of the things that he Googled, he had looked up a song called I Used to Love Her, But I Had to Kill Her. Okay, sir, you downloaded that song the night before your wife was murdered. That is very curious. Additionally, he Googled, where can you shoot on your body and not die? And turns out, a coinky-dink, all the places he was shot on his body were the places that he found from Google. Your Google searches will be used against you in a court of law. So he goes to court, right? He's on trial, and they're like, So he went to a dark place where nobody ever goes. It doesn't make sense that a robber would be there, because if nobody ever goes there, what's a robber going to do? I'm just going to sit here where nobody ever goes for 3, 4, 65 months and see if somebody happens to walk by who happens to have stuff. It does not make sense. That would have to be a dumb burglar. But you know who would go there? A man who was trying to unalive his wife. And how much insurance money did he get? Oh, he had a $2 million policy on his very young wife. Right. Great. He also happened to have a lot of debt at the time of her unaliving, and they did a little research. It turns out he called the insurance company and absolutely insisted that they had to pay out on that policy. Okay. So, sir, this is not going good for you. And if that were not enough evidence, when they found his wife dead like a carpet in the sand, she had blood coming out of her nose and it just ran down her nose. But his story was like, I scooped her up out of the water and I ran with her, and then I had to drop her on the sand so I could go get help. Only little problem with that is that, yes, she had blood on her face, but it only ran in one direction, which showed he wasn't picking her up. He wasn't moving her around, because if her head was flopping back and forth, there would be blood that went all back and forth. And that's not what they found. So it's like, okay, sir, your story is not adding up. Meanwhile, the girlfriend from Seattle was back in Florida like, I am standing by my man. Girl, you know what's other dudes over there in Seattle, right? And you could be dating all of them, and those are not on trial for murder. Yes, maybe they don't use proper deodorant, and they from Seattle, and they wear grunge and drink too much coffee, but you know what they probably not gonna do? Murder you. Are they gonna work? Probably not. But I'm saying you would still be alive to kick them out, and you're not gonna have to worry about a whole murderation. So anyway, he goes to trial, and then the jury is deliberating. Her family is like, oh no, oh my goodness, how is this gonna come out? And they deliberated for 3 days. That's a long time. That's a long time. That is several free lunches, several free breakfasts, and a whole lot of coffee. So when the jury comes back, everybody was like, what is it going to be? What is it going to be? And he's standing there like, I know I will be found guilty, and I could take my lovely fiance, girlfriend, and kill her for $3 million worth of insurance as soon as they tick-tock, find me not guilty. And they were like, Your Honor, we in the great state of Florida were weird Floridians and alligators kill people on a regular basis. We find him guilty. And he was like, no, oh God. It was very dramatic. It wasn't that dramatic. But also his very nice curly blonde hair was starting to fall out. He had a big old bald spot. I was like, boo-boo. You was vain, you was arrogant. And when the people got up to speak, like the families and stuff, they were like, he was kind of critical of her. He used to always, every week, he would put on his jeans from high school to make sure they still fit. And if she had one extra bite of anything, he would criticize her. That right there, now listen, obviously, murder is wrong. We here at Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo, we do not condone murder. But and however, if you have things to say about the size of my anything, well then, that might be grounds. I'm not saying grounds for what. That's a further conversation that we would have to discuss over WhatsApp, where we enjoy end-to-end encryption. But All I'm going to say is that might be some grounds because my body is my business. What I eat is my business. I'm not at all interested, Mr. Husband or boyfriend or whatever, in what you think about anything that I am wearing. So you're going to want to put that in your back pocket if you're going to be with me and govern yourself accordingly because, I know people, and I do have a very active WhatsApp account, maybe 2 or 3 under different names, but you ain't heard that from me, and I know how to get rid of evidence, and I'm a true crime fan, so you want to watch yourself anyway. So, he's in jail, and he thinks it's wrong, and he thinks that the police focused on him too early and for too long. You know why they focused on you, boo-boo? Because, you did it. That's why. That's why. That $2 million, I hope you enjoyed it. And now her mother is dead. This girl is dead. The father's alcoholic. Now her brother and sister who were now, the young brother who was a 1-year-old when the mom died, now he's a teenager. And the sister is like good and grown. She probably got a whole family and everything now. But they have to live without their relatives. And that alcoholic daddy, you know those are the ones that live forever, right? They be living in your basement, on your couch or whatever. Like, can you bring me another natty light and some donuts, please? She'll be like, this sucker, my beautiful sacred mother been dead low these 30 years. How he's still alive? His liver should have gave out a long time ago. Yeah, daddy, I'm on my way. Okay, I'm coming. Oh, I can't stand him. But anyway, that is the story of Justin Barber and April Barber. Justin is alive and not well, probably, because he got LWOP'd. He's in prison without the possibility of parole in Florida. And so hopefully, at least he has, I guess they don't have prisons on the beach now, do they? Too bad. I don't know where they have prisons in Florida. I hope it's in the Everglades where it's swampy and lots of mosquitoes and you don't even get the good mangoes. Okay, y'all have a safe, great day. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I got to take a kid back to college and I will see you soon. Bye.